Mike was saying earlier today that while defense wins championships, he believes quarterbacks win Super Bowls. I'm sure he's mentioned that to you before, has he? And what do you think about that?
I mean, I feel like we've probably talked about that in a lot of conversations. I was smiling because Scott just warned me on that one. He said somebody would probably ask me about it. Yeah, he's doing great, isn't he? Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you know the old saying, defense wins championships, it's true. And when he says quarterbacks win the Super Bowl, it means they got to make big plays and big moments in games like that. And just the way that this game has evolved to such a spread game now in the NFL that you've got to make big-time throws, whether it be third down, fourth down, to win games. And that's the biggest game, and the biggest moments they happen in that game. So 100% understand what he's saying, and yeah, just trying to do whatever I can to get to that moment, really.
Dalton just mentioned that he thinks the velocity on your ball has increased, so you've got horsepower and zip on the ball. What have you been doing to work on that, and do you think it's any different than it was last year or earlier?
Yeah, no, it's definitely different, and I just think it's the way that I've been training. As I mentioned in the spring, training more functional, a lot of the rotation work, using my legs, just working on different arm angles, that being able to get the power in my throw, no matter which way or whatever the route is, whether it's an outbreaker, inbreaker, I've got to get it around somebody. Just a lot of work has been put into it, and it's starting to show.
Your focus Super Bowl, you know, obviously that's work how quarterbacks are judged. How much do you think about that? And how much do you need that?
One more time.
Mike brought up quarterbacks win Super Bowls, you know, and how much do you think about that? Quarterbacks certainly are judged by Super Bowl titles.
A lot. I mean, obviously knowing the quarterbacks that played specifically for this team and knowing their legacy, and the ones that we hold at the highest standard, the ones that have Super Bowl rings. So it starts there for me, is trying to fill the shoes of those guys that have come before me, and do something for this organization that hadn't been done in a long time.
You mentioned in the spring, year 7 maybe feels kind of surreal, just that you've been doing this that long. Your birthday tomorrow. Do you have time to kind of reflect on, 7 birthdays at training camp, that type of thing, or not so much in the grind of training camp?
I'm sure a moment or so will come, and I'll do that. I like to reflect here and there, just to know where I come from, and just knowing where I want to get to. It's a quick reflection, but it's definitely moving forward. As they say, the rearview mirror is a whole lot smaller than the front windshield. So, yeah, I think it's good to do that. I'll be 29th golden birthday, so planning for this to be the golden year. So.
You put a lot of work this offseason on your footwork. How far do you feel you've come from the end of last season there?
Yeah, I mean, far, and just being able to focus on all my footwork and not having to worry about my ankle or dealing with any other issues or anything like that. It's a blessing. So I'm just trying to stack good days on top of good days, getting a good rhythm and a good sync with these receivers and these young guys and guys that have got to step up and make plays. And it's been a great 2 days so far.
What was the value of the Miami trip? What did you get out of it?
Yeah, it was a great trip. Obviously, you go there to get some work in, and then the camaraderie. The camaraderie is a huge part of it. As I told you in the spring, 2 of the guys that I learned a lot about were Tolbert and Sean McKeon, and just the way that they operate and the way that they think and just the way that they care so much about this game. I think that's going to help pull in the best out of them at certain times in games, or whether it be at practice, just to get the most out of them. But it was a great trip. Everybody that showed up. Some guys won't be able to make it just because, family issues and summer plans, but it was great, and it's going to serve us well as we continue to move forward.
The different arm slots, have you worked on that before, and how difficult is that to incorporate it and make it become second nature?
Yeah, it's become second nature at this point. I think it takes years, honestly, to really dial it in, and I've worked on it, but maybe not as much as I've worked on it in the past year and a half, honestly. And yeah, it's showing up, and sometimes I have to dial myself back in and say that wasn't needed, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the film study, and just going back and continuing to be my biggest critic, but at the same time knowing where I've got to get to.
This is a team game. You talk about Super Bowls. You think guys in your position get too much criticism when things don't go right?
I think when you sign up for this position, depending on how early you get in this position, you understand that comes with it. When you win games, y'all sometimes credit us and give us too much credit. So it works. It's reciprocated the same way. When you don't win games, it goes on our shoulders sometimes, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm a guy that will take it whenever. Take the good with the bad, and as I just continue to try to help my team, help all 53 that are going to participate in the game. But as Coach McCarthy says, it takes more than that. It takes the whole unit, the whole organization. So I don't really worry about where the criticism or blame or any of that goes.
What do you tell Dalton about having to play on the franchise tag?
Yeah, I mean, I've had plenty of conversations with Schultz over the offseason about it. Just understand his position and where he is, and more importantly, just go control the things you can control. You signed the tag, you've moved forward. The negotiations and all that are past that, so none of that really matters at this point. It's about you going out there being the best that you can to help this team, help this offense, and when that time comes again to negotiate, if you've taken care of your business, things will get handled in the way you'd like them.
Mike mentioned y'all have been working on cadence. Mike mentioned y'all have been working on cadence more this offseason. Where from last year did you need to improve in cadence, and how much can you work on that by yourself versus needing to be with Tyler or your offensive line to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than just that first unit. I think it's, the whole offense, and just knowing that certain guys are going to have to come in at different times and maybe fill in a spot as they did last year, and you want them to be completely in sync. And it starts with the cadence. It starts with how fast you can get off the ball, that first step, whether it be the offensive line or whether it be the receivers getting their release, just to make everything obviously easier to get the ball where you want it to go, or get to your aiming point in the run game. So that's just kind of the basis of it. So you want to start there, and you want to make sure that's perfect before you continue to move on to something else. So I just think we're just dialing in on perfecting some things.
A few weeks from James Washington. What you see from James Washington, I know it's only been a short amount of time. How do you think he can help this offense?
He can definitely help this offense. He's a hard worker. Obviously, he's dealt with some things just early on here and had to get them right, and just the way that he's approached that, seeing him in the building, seeing him doing his rehab, doing all the things necessary to get back on the field and how much it means to him, that's going to serve him well. But then the reps that we've had, him being healthy, missed him yesterday on a go ball, and I mean, we'll get that dialed in. He's got some real speed, and there's a couple of times in the offseason I underthrew him, and maybe that's what that was. It's like I won't underthrow him this time. So, but we'll get that dialed in, and he'll be able to stretch this defense. He'll be able to make some contested plays, and just another guy that we're going to ask to step up.
Considering moving forward, Dak, how difficult was it to put to bed last season, and how much motivation did that provide?
Yeah, it was tough, but it was easy to get back to work knowing that that's the only thing that can change that, and the only thing that I can do to fix that and to fix anything moving forward. So, there's times that you reflect back. Give Chad Bolin credit. I started off kind of with a meeting about that and showed a video of the press conferences, my press conference and Zeke's, and just kind of a video just to make sure that we reflect and keep that in our mind. Anthony Brown broke down the group yesterday and mentioned it as well. So that feeling's a nasty feeling, and that's the one that when you think about, as I said, you want to go work. You want to go do whatever you can to make sure that you don't feel that way again. And, that's what we're out here trying to do.
How do you think you'll look at your willingness, or is it the right thing to risk you playing in the preseason given all the changes at wide receiver in the offensive line? Might you need to be more involved in preseason games than you've been in the past?
I think the way that we've got this scheduled, I'm following Coach's plan. I feel like he's got a great plan for us, whether it be practicing up in Denver, practicing down in Irvin against the Chargers, and then whether it's playing in the games or how much I play in the games or not, I feel comfortable with the plan that we have and me moving forward and progressing, not only with my game but with the offense and the receivers as well.
What did Anthony say when he broke it down?
Yeah, just another reflection about that feeling. Just kind of, as I said, just let that sit in the back of your head. Let's not worry about it too much, you know what I mean, and get caught up in that and drive ourselves crazy on it. But let's not forget how that felt, and know that the only thing we can do is move forward and work to control that.
Where have you seen CeeDee Lamb make strides in his game?
Yeah, everywhere. Everywhere. Just being able to move inside, outside, the knowledge of the game, knowing his hots, his sights, whatever it may be. The continuous work. Everybody saw the Instagram post around the chairs and the shoulders and the bends. So he's just a guy that loves to work. And whether it be in the film room, whether it be out here at practice and drills or individual on his own, he's going to continue to get better. And his mentality is something that all receivers can follow.
How would you describe your connection with him?
One more time?
How would you describe your connection with him, and how has that grown in this offseason, knowing the role that he now has to take on?
Yeah, I feel like we had a good connection, but just knowing that he's going to be a guy, and he's going to be a guy that we're going to count on, and he understands that, and that's why I credit his mentality, I credit his approach, and just the way that he showed up each and every day in the offseason. Even the times that he wasn't able to be on the field in the offseason, what he was doing to take care of his body and to get himself right. And he's an incredible player, and excited for him.
You got Michael coming back. You have CD. You have that relationship with. How do you elevate the guys that you're new to, James and Tolbert and guys like that, to get them up to the speed that you have with those two guys?
Yeah, you just got to take advantage of the opportunities when they're in there, whether it be routes on air, whether it be in team period. You're not going to necessarily try to force a guy a ball because he's a young guy. But at times you want to try a matchup, and sometimes you learn. An interception happened yesterday. That's going to be a great learning moment for for Tolbert and for myself as well. But just to be able to, for that moment to happen, for it to happen so early, to be able to talk through it, and for him to say, hey, come back to me, that won't happen again. Those are the things that you're testing out right now, and that's the growth and that's the mentality that you want to hear from a young guy is come back to me, you know what I mean, that I'm going to make big plays. And you saw contested catches he made as well yesterday. So whether it be Tolbert, whether it be some of these other young guys, there's some young guys that haven't played in this game yet that are gonna really contribute this year.
Did you and Zeke exchange birthday presents yet?
When we asked Jalen about your time together in Florida and a way that y'all were able to see improvement, I think you mentioned a post route where like you missed one, then he did something off, and the third time you got it. Does that ring a bell, and what was that process like?
It doesn't necessarily ring a bell as much maybe to him, but that's the good part, right? Is that's sat in the back of his head, and that's something that he takes pride in. And what it was is, I'm sure I may have just missed him. Then he came back and thought it was his fault and tried to adjust for it. And that's where you've got to talk through it and you get it right on the third time. But then you've got to make sure you do it the fourth and the fifth time that exact way, so you get that chemistry and you get that understanding.
Did you guys exchange birthday presents yet?
Me and Zeke? No, I didn't get him anything this year. He'll be okay. Not yet, anyways.
With the changes on the offensive line, is there anyone you see take on more of a leadership role on that line?
I mean, when you've got the two great leaders as we have is Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, those other guys know the standard. They know the expectation. They're going to just follow because of what those guys do on and off the field, the way that they approach this game, what this game means to them. But Tyler is definitely taking a little bit under his wing. And just, as I said, when you have those two guys, you don't have to worry about that unit and those guys understanding how important it is for them to do their job and for them to do their job for the rest of us.
We continue to see big quarterback contracts across the league, Kyler's being the most recent. How much are you paying attention when stuff like that happens?
Not at all. I told you guys I wasn't paying attention much when mine was going on, so damn sure not paying attention now to this other guy. So happy for all of them, good for the league, and I'm sure it'll just continue to go that way.
What if the Cowboys approached you about extending you out, even though you're only in year 2 of this thing?
I guess that talks we'll have to have it in a private conversation.
Tyler Smith, what have you noticed from him since he's gotten here to where he is now?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that cares. He's a guy that cares. Obviously, getting in and out of the one group, just when he's in there, being able to talk to him, seeing it in his eyes, knowing that he's in that huddle, and how important it is for him to do his job. Excited for him just to continue to grow, continue to make strides. And really ready to see him with the pads on. He's done well without the pads, but I mean, this is a game that you got to buckle the shoulder pads up and put everything on and put it all together. So, and not just with him, just with a lot of these guys, as I said, that I feel like are going to contribute this year. Ready to see it when they can actually hit and get hit, and see the way that they respond, the way they get back up, and how important it is for them to make a play.
Thanks, Dak.
There's so much talk swirling around Mike McCarthy and his job security. I don't know if you guys have heard. I don't know if you hear all that chatter at all.
Clarence, you know I don't listen to what you have to say outside of this thing. I'm not even really on Twitter like that. So Mike's my guy, and that's the only thing that matters is this season. So thank you.